The Power of Faith Hope, an article in a series by Walker Atkinson. In the preceding paper of this series, we have seen the power inherent in desire force. In our next paper, we shall consider the mighty part played by the will in the releasing of the energy which finds in us a channel for its manifestation. But before passing on, we must consider something which lies between the fire of desire and the engine of will. There is something which acts to combine and blend these two great phases of human power and action. And this something, again, presents a dual aspect, a twofold nature. This something we may call faith, or we may call it hope, according to which one of the two sides happens to be presented to us. But, in truth, and at the last, faith and hope are one, the two sides of the one fact. A moment's consideration will show you that in order to be effective, this something must possess both that which we call faith and that which we call hope. Faith or belief would amount to but little, unless accompanied by the lively expectation of something to result from the thing in which faith is had. And on the other hand, hope, by itself, would accomplish but little unless accompanied by the lively faith and belief in the thing from which something is hoped to result. Faith is defined as firm belief, hope as expectation. Faith-hope may be defined as confident expectation based upon firm belief. In this last definition, we have the secret of the power of this something which comes in between desire and will. Leave out this something, this faith-hope, and we fail to make the psychic connection between the fire of desire and the engine of will. And without this connection, we accomplish very little. So, you see, we are considering a very important factor in the manifestation of human energy. But, mark you well, the faith which plays such an important part in action is not merely the blind, credulous belief in this thing or that. The dynamic faith is that which is based upon something in or behind that which we call I. It makes very little difference whether one considers the cosmic energy to be within him or behind and backing him up. The important thing is to realize that in some way there is the universal energy willing and able to manifest its force and power through the organism of the individual who possesses the faith. Those who have gone deeply into the subject know, of course, that the universal energy is not only back of the individual, but is also actually in him. But there are others who prefer to lean on something back of and backing them, they being unable to form the conception of the universal energy being immanent within them. But, in the end, the effect is the same. By believing in the thing as backing them, these people actually cause it to manifest within themselves, and so get the benefit. A glance around the world of successful persons will convince you that every man or woman who ever made a success in any walk of life or field of human endeavor believed firmly in a something which was backing him or her, and devoted to his or her success. One may call this something by the name of luck, fate, destiny, lucky star, genius, inspiration, or by a similar name. Or one may have believed that some powerful entity, some supernatural being, is working in, with, and for him or her. You will find this instinctive or intuitive realization in every case of human success. There has always been this firm faith in the something beneficial. Even the men and women who deny this belief, and who proclaim that they believe only in myself, these typical self-confident and self-reliant individuals, will be found to secretly feel that there's something in me by which the great feats are made possible of accomplishment. And this something which is always perceived and felt, although sometimes but dimly, is in reality the pulsing universal energy seeking to express itself in active manifestation. There is another phase of faith which is also important, although somewhat secondary in its manifestation, the faith in the thing which is to be done. This form of faith, upon analysis, is perceived to be really the blending of the phase of hope with the phase of faith. To believe in the thing to be done is in reality to hope that it will work out. It is really a phase of confident expectation. Unless one possesses this confident expectation of the success of the thing undertaken, he will lack the element of hope, which is one phase of the great principle of faith-hope, and his will be a case of faith without works indeed. Such a one will be like an eagle with one broken wing. Though the other wing be powerful, the crippled wing will prevent the glorious flight to the heights. So, you see, we must not only possess that firm belief in the power within, but we must also have that active expectation, that confident expectation of the result. We must not alone believe in ourselves and our powers, but we must also take stock in the thing we are starting out to accomplish, and we must confidently expect success in our accomplishment. This, then, is the tripod, the three legs of this something which comes between desire and will. And yet, when we come to examine the matter closely, we will see that these three are indeed one. Think over this a little before we go on. 1. Faith in the something within. 2. Belief in the thing undertaken. And 3. Confident expectation of the successful outcome. There is a strange and wonderful power of attraction in this phase of mental activity, which we have been considering, that combination of faith and hope, which is summed up by the term confident expectation. Orthodox psychologists have considered at length the marked effect upon the general, mental, moral, and physical character of the individual arising from what they have been pleased to style expectant attention. Expectant attention is a term frequently and freely employed by the old school of psychologists to account for the undeniable effect upon the individual of certain mental states. By it they accounted for that which the newer school now call autosuggestion. This expectant attention was held to explain the fact that one's mental, moral, and physical character is strongly affected by the ideas which he holds in his mind, provided, however, that he, at the same time, believed and hoped for the realization of those ideas or ideals. In fact, that faith and hope possessed a dynamic creative power in the direction named. By the term expectant attention, these good folks sought to account for the fact that men had for all ages wrought cures in themselves and others by first fixing their faith in some fetish, charm, amulet, nostrum, or creed, and then awakening hope that the desired result would be accomplished. In the same way, they sought to account for the startling changes wrought in the characters of men by reason of the dynamic force awakened by some religious or social ideal. And these old psychologists did much good in grouping together and classifying the psychological phenomena referred to. They showed conclusively that these results really arose from certain mental states and were natural psychological phenomena instead of being supernatural or miraculous. But their explanation was merely the giving a name to the mental states, placing a tag upon it, for they did not attempt to go beneath the surface and find out why the mental state manifested such power. A common fallacy this, the attempt to explain a thing by giving it a new name. The thoughtful student now knows that this expectant attention is but the power of faith and hope, or confident expectation, serving to awaken and call forth the universal energy toward manifestation in the mind and body of the individual. In this phenomenon, psychology and metaphysics clasp hands. But this is not all of the story. Modern researchers have rediscovered the truths known to the ancient occultists, and now announce that not only does confident expectation change, influence, shape, and mold the mental, moral, and physical character of the individual, but that the same power serves to attract toward the individual particular things, persons, environment, and circumstances in accordance with the ideas and ideals forming the nucleus of the confident expectation. During the past 20 years, we have heard much of the attractive power of thought, or as good old Prentice Mulford called it, the drawing power of the mind. Today, this idea forms one of the principles of the new psychology, or what is called new thought. Thousands of persons know from experience the wonderful law which causes mine own to come to me in response to the confident expectation or combined faith and hope of the individual. We know that indeed do ideals become real, and that dreams come true, in accordance with this great psychological metaphysical law. This truth is an article of active faith with thousands of intelligent persons all over the world, and one which experience verifies every day in many lives. Without going too deeply into the matter, we may say that it is now known that confident expectation, that wonderful combination of faith and hope, causes the mind to act as a mighty magnet, attracting to the individual that which serves to manifest and make real the object earnestly and truthfully looked for. Persons in whom this power has been awakened often are able to witness the actual working out of this law in their everyday life. A bit of information or knowledge is required, and lo, a book, magazine, or newspaper containing it finds its way to the attention. Persons walk into one's life in response to the law. Circumstances shape themselves to fit into the general scheme. These things happen too frequently to be mere coincidences. The law of attraction is at work, stirred into activity by earnest faith and hope. Moreover, like all natural laws, this one works both ways. Not only does confident expectation cause one to attract desirable things to him, but it also serves to attract to him undesirable things which happen to be confidently expected. For, mind you this, fear really is the negative pole of hope and is governed by the same laws. For when one actually fears a thing will happen, it is as much a case of confident expectation as when one earnestly hopes a thing will happen. Here we have the explanation of the fact that so often the thing that I feared hath come upon me. So, finally, in your consideration of human energy, which is really but a specialized manifestation of the universal energy, do not for a moment lose sight of the wonderful part played by the mental state of confident expectation, that blending of faith and hope. For here is to be found an active principle that releases the energy within, in accordance with the mold of the ideals held in mind, following the outlines of the mental pictures, releasing the force of desire, and employing the power of the will. Ideals held in the mind, mental pictures firmly fixed, strong desire burning. What will or can all these amount to unless at the same time one earnestly believes in their manifestation in reality and actually hopes for the becoming real of the ideal? Verily, it is a truth both of the ancient wisdom and of modern science, that faith can and will remove mountains from the path of the confident soul, that hope will clear away a path through the densest forest for the advancing feet of the divine adventurer. End of article.